Good Morning Liberty.
Well, what is up, all of our liberty-loving friends? This is another fantastic episode of Good Morning Liberty. My name is Nate Thurston. I'm hanging out with the Fed Haters Club today, which you can join by going to joingml.com. It's a very special day because it is Dumb Bleep of the Week. That's the day of the week where we go through the dumbest things that happened in politics over the last week. A bunch of the submissions came from the Fed Haters Club. A bunch of them came from me. Some of them came from people on X. I put them together in a large list this week. We're going through 14 different things that happened. This is actually the most amount of slides because technically I'm using slides to do this. On a show, you would call them elements. This is the most amount of elements I've ever brought into a show, and the number is over 70 from those 14 things. So we better get going. Everyone's going to vote at the end, and it is almost time for Dumb Bleep of the Year, where we've narrowed things down to Dumb Bleep of the Month, except for the last couple months, and then we're going to do them by quarter. They're going to go into a Final Four bracket, and then before the year is over, we will figure out what Dumb Bleep of the Year actually was. Maybe we'll do a show on New Year's Eve. All right, so Dumb Bleep number one. This one ought to be quick, easy, but not painless, because this is Kamala Harris talking to Jimmy Kimmel about the Epstein files. By the way, happy Epstein files day to everyone. I don't know what that's going to look like, really at all. I don't expect anything monumental to change. We'll see. I don't expect anything big. So much time has gone on now, and I don't know exactly what this process is going to look like. But Jimmy Kimmel had asked Kamala Harris why the Biden administration did not push for the release of the Epstein files, or why they did not release the Epstein files. He asked a good question, and she essentially blamed it on Biden's DOJ. We'll just listen to this clip right fast.
Why didn't the Biden administration release those files? Was that something that they felt would look bad while they're running against this guy, or why didn't they come out during your administration?
To give you an answer that will not satisfy your curiosity, I will tell you, we, perhaps to our damage, but we strongly and rightly believed that there should be an absolute separation between what we wanted as an administration and what the Department of Justice did. We absolutely adhered to that, and it was right to do that. The Justice Department would make its decisions independent of any political or personal vendetta or concern that we may have. And that's the way it worked.
Just to be clear, her answer to this was, we didn't release them because we were just too damn moral and good. And we were too constitutional. We believed in the republic and the separation of powers too much. And that led to us not releasing this information. It evidently prevented them from ever talking about releasing the information or showing any interest in releasing the information or requesting to the DOJ, hey, don't you think it'd be a good thing to release this information? It was just because they believed so strongly in that separation between the president and the Department of Justice. Now, they, as some recent information has come out, you guys might know that they didn't always believe in that thing when it came to investigating Trump or raiding Mar-a-Lago or many other things. But in this case, in all the other cases, specifically, they just didn't do it because they just wanted to follow the proper rules and procedures. I'm pretty sure every single person, Republican or Democrat, sees straight through that BS. Pretty sure. All right, we're going to move right on to number two. We talked about this before. This is about Kia and Hyundai cutting corners on their cars and leading to people being able to steal them very easily. And this guy says, this is Keith Ellison, says, we hold people accountable when they steal cars, and we should. But we also hold accountable the corporations that made those cars dangerously easy to steal. Kia and Hyundai cut corners. Minnesotans paid the price. We took them to court, and we won. This is well. There's a video attached to this, and maybe I'll let him talk before I say anything, because he's probably going to make a really good point, and we'll find out that it's in fact not dumb. So let's just play.
After a few teenagers posted videos on TikTok showing how Kia and Hyundai vehicles could easily be stolen, this wasn't true in other car makes, because nearly all other cars sold in America came equipped with something called an engine immobilizer. That standard came in almost all cars, but not in Kias and in Hyundais. Relatively few of them had the technology, for the simple reason that these companies didn't make this common sense technology standard and install them in their cars. As they did do.
I just... Are you required to make your car theft proof? We're talking about right now that these engine immobilizers, by the way, it's essentially like you need to have a key fob in the vehicle to be able to get the vehicle to start. There's a large period of time that people had vehicles where that just didn't exist. Then people stole cars, you could hotwire cars, do all sorts of things to steal cars. I don't think we held the car manufacturers liable for not inventing a new technology that no cars had to prevent people from being able to steal them as easily. So we didn't do that. Yeah, this is just a totally ridiculous thing. No one forced these kids, whoever they were, or whatever TikTok video they watched, to go steal the cars. That is where the crime was committed. I don't think any car company should be required to put any anti-theft software on their car whatsoever. How is it like a right that you have that? Now that should be reflected to your insurance company or whoever else it's going to be, that this car doesn't have this technology, and then that's going to be reflected in, say, your insurance prices or whatever it is that's going to protect you against things like that. Sure, and people, I guess you should be made aware if that's something you care about. Have you guys ever thought about that? Like, oh, this has good... I've never even considered whether or not my car would be easy to steal or not. I figure if someone wants to steal it, they're going to find a way to steal it. I don't know. Anyhow, this is totally ridiculous, especially when you're holding people liable for something that is a relatively new technology, by the way. And so that is dumb bleep number 2, Kia and Hyundai getting held responsible for people deciding to go steal their cars. All right, now we're going to get to number 3, which is really just going to call guns. I've got a few things. Some things including statements after the Brown University shooting, which they did find the guy. I guess he committed suicide, and so that was announced last night or this morning, pretty sure. But before anything was known about this person whatsoever, and not going to go into the fact that he's immigrated here from Portugal, whatever. So before anything was known about this, and we still don't know anything about like the guns he had or anything like that, people had plenty to say about how we could have prevented this from happening. We'll get into that. And then we've got the Bondi Beach thing in Australia, and people saying some dumb stuff about that as well. And I had this video I almost played last week, and we ran a little bit short of time, and so I didn't play it. And I just figured it'd be a nice way to kind of ease into the conversation about guns. And so this is a video from TikTok that I'll play for you guys that's just going to help ease us into a conversation about guns.
Like, I feel childish when I think about guns because I go, you do realize if we just took every gun that currently exists and melted it, and then we never made any more, no one would ever get shot to death again. And I feel that, but that's so childish. And I know I can hear the right-wing response to that where they're like, well, that's impossible. And I'm like, but the thing is, it's so deeply possible.
It's so possible.
It's so deeply possible. And I think it's the same thing with war. And I talked a little bit about this publicly. Like when like last year in October, when the Israel-Palestine stuff really started coming back into the consciousness, and a lot of new people were tuning in, where I was like, I feel childish, but like I just wish war. Why are we doing war? Why? I don't. But it's like a childish thing to say. But it's like we could just literally not do that.
That's my thing.
There's no need for any of it. We could get rid of guns. We could also just give everyone a house. Like another childish thing where you're like, oh, so there's just empty houses and apartments and buildings sitting all over New York, and then there's people who sleep on the streets in conditions that can kill them. Why? It makes no fucking sense.
Earmuffs.
I agree.
And this
I
is
think
why we're running.
This is why we're running.
That guy's not running. All right. I forgot about the other stuff at the end of that. I only remembered the guns part of it. We could just easily get rid of all the guns. Easily. No, we can't. And I just wanted to play this. And even he says that this is extremely childish and feels extremely childish. He's like, but we could just get rid of all the guns. We could just take all of them and, what did he say, melt them down or something. Yes, that is, you are correct that is an extremely childish thing to think. And something tells me that no evidence to the contrary would change this person's opinion whatsoever. But no, you couldn't do that. Even if you set out a policy to do that. I don't know what the official number is, something like 600 million guns here in the United States. It's a hell of a lot of guns, for sure. And that's just the ones that they know about to put on an estimation. And even if you somehow did that, you're not going to uninvent the gun. You'd also have to seize all the 3D printers, because then people could still just make that. You'd have to go to the Home Depot and Lowe's and all the other place and get rid of all the pipe, things that people might buy to just go make a gun. You're not going to uninvent this thing. You'll still be able to make one if you want to make one. The instructions are out there. People can figure it out, and people figured it out back before we had all the crazy technology we have right now. You're just not going to get rid of them. It's not going to happen. As I said on Monday, I'm like, all right, whatever. Let these people think this. That's fine. They're idiots. They can think this if they want to. We can make fun of them. I'm not even going to fight them. Sure. Let's just do that. Let's just get rid of them. Not really. I don't really mean that. Here's Steve Kerr. Always so sad to see things like this happen to people, that you looked up to, and someone who I saw play. You guys know I went to 2 Bulls games in the 90s. I saw a whole thing. Got pictures of the whole team. I got real pictures of Michael Jordan that I took on a camera that took film, the way to take to Walgreens and get developed. And so anyhow, this is what Steve Kerr came out and said, and this is relating to the Brown University shooting. So here's this.
These shootings continue to happen, and there is something we can do about that. It's human nature just to think, this is so horrible. Let's just not even think about it. But we have to think about it, and the vast majority of gun owners in this country are responsible, law-abiding citizens. They have every right, to own a gun. But it's on us to decide if we actually want to take action, as a country, as citizens. We know that there are common sense measures we can take that will save people's lives. And I just want people out there, it doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican or gun owner, non-gun owner. I just want people thinking, what if it were my child? What if it were my brother or sister? Would you be willing to stand up to your representatives and say, you know what, enough. I'm not going to vote for you unless you are going to stand up for gun violence prevention through common sense laws that the vast majority of Americans agree on? Or are we just going to continue to let the gun lobby? Don't just look the other way, even though that's human nature and I understand it. Think about it. Do you want something done? Do you want your child to go to school terrified every day?
So in addition to all the dumb parts, like what people are pointing out in the group, like do something, take action, common sense. Yes. Nothing concrete here that he's even saying that would, in fact, prevent anything from happening. And no one ever actually has that. But this situation is even dumber. Like, regardless of what you think with guns, everyone listening to the show probably aligns very closely with myself and everyone else listening on guns. We've got guns for self-defense and to help prevent a tyranny in the United States. And you can't ever forget that part. You don't have to make excuses for that part. That's what it's for. That's why you make sure the government can't take it away from you. And so that's why we have that right protected in our Constitution. That's why they thought it was important enough to put in there. But the other thing that's really dumb about this is, I think this clip was on Sunday or Monday. It was like the day after the shooting happened. And we still really have hardly any information, but we had no information about the shooter, who they were, what their motivations were, how they got on campus, how they got off campus, how they got their guns. Barely even knew what kind of guns they used. Don't know how they obtained them. Don't know if they were legal, illegal. Don't know what their mental history is, criminal history is. You don't know if a background check would have prevented the person from getting the gun or if they would have passed the background check. You know none of that information whatsoever. So what especially drives me nuts in these specific situations is when people come out with absolutely no knowledge of this situation and pretend like his vague solutions would have somehow prevented this from happening. And what you're doing in that moment is you're playing on people's emotions. People are emotional clearly after a couple people get shot or get killed and 9 get shot, I believe. You're clearly emotional after that. Everyone hates to see this kind of thing happen. And so you come out and say, well, my solution would have prevented this. You don't even know what this was. So can't let him get away with that at all. Let's see. We're still talking about guns. This one was submitted by the live group. This is from a page called No Guns in Canada. Responding to someone who said it's safe in jail, your fear will not be our chain, meaning like you just put people in jail. By the way, it's not safe in jail, really, at all. Still find ways to kill people, even though they won't let you have any weapons in jail. There's like a whole ban on this thing because you lost your rights, so you're not won't even let you buy a knife. Can't even have it. It's a pretty tyrannical system for those people that are in that jail. But this person responds and says, very few shootings in jail despite a concentration of dangerous criminals. It's the guns. Now, it is true. I mean, let's just take their point. When you lock people in cages, and you put fences and walls around the building that you're locking them in, and you take away absolutely all of their rights, and they can't make any decisions for themselves really at all. They can only go outside when you say they can go outside. They sleep when you say sleep, eat when you say eat, and everyone lives inside this little box with bars around it and protected by these walls and guards. They've done a fairly good job keeping guns out of people's hands in that scenario. Pretty good job overall. Cool. So your point exactly is that's how everyone should be treated. I don't get the point here. Is that really what you're trying to say? Is that actually what you're trying to say to people? Is that, hey, if we just basically imprison everyone and take everyone's rights away, then we'll be able to keep this a pretty safe place. A safe place for what? That's not living at all. There's some more here. Looks like I forgot to put one in. There was one, I think Costco submitted it or someone submitted it that also was relating to cars. But now I can't remember exactly what it was. It's not in here. It mentioned like you got the right to drive, but there's still seatbelt laws and things like that. And I think it was a great point that we should get rid of seatbelt laws. It was honestly what I heard. I'm a big fan of getting rid of those. My assumption is probably like insurance companies that got that put in the law because they wanted to make sure they could, people want to keep people safe. Of course, car companies want to have high safety ratings. Of course, there's no reason other than say children that you should be forced to wear a seatbelt in a car. And by the way, you can have that on the books. It's still, I drove home last night. Wife wasn't wearing a seatbelt the whole time, So anyhow, she's a criminal. All right, that's number 3. Well, I know there's a lot of stuff we can say about guns. There's plenty of stuff we can say about guns. We've said a lot of stuff about guns, and we will say many more things about guns, and your right to defend yourself and try to prevent tyranny, although I'm wondering when that part is going to kick off, Okay, number 4 and some of you guys might not agree with this. I just found it kind of gross. As you guys know, in that shooting in Australia, which every way I've heard it, now this is incorrect. These Australians got this thing wrong. Okay, but it's important you pronounce it the way the person in that country pronounces it. Bondi? Really? Is that what they say? There's no AI at the end of Bondi Beach. That's how they say it, though. That is the only way I've heard anyone say it. But so maybe that's part of the dumb right here. As you guys know, there was this this crazy thing where this guy, this hero, just call him a hero, went up there and stopped one of the shooters. Didn't have a weapon on him or anything like that. Just snuck up behind the guy and kind of tackled him, overpowered him, and took his gun away from him. That's pretty cool. I'll play the video. I'm sure you've seen it plenty of times, but here's that.
Oh! C'est un malade. Oh mon gros! Oh!
All right. So he took the guy's gun.
Il est trop con le mec qui a l'arme.
Only thing he did wrong, well, not in the eyes of the law. I mean, come on. You guys wanted to see a different ending there, right? Instead of just letting the guy get up and walk away from him. You know, I'm not sure if that's a proper thing for me to have wanted to see happen in that scenario, but clearly the guy deserved it. It would have been a very just ending for the guy, but honestly, then Australia probably would have put the dude in prison that shot him. So, you know, let's be honest about that as well. So it's a really cool story. Now, in this shooting, in this mass shooting, what we ended up having from everything I've read is this was like an Islamic terrorist attack. It was an attack on a Hanukkah celebration at this beautiful place in Australia. And this spurred a lot of people talking about the danger of Muslims. You guys know I don't like putting people in groups. We're not even going to talk about that right now. I mean, those are, you know, literally put themselves in a group like we put each other in groups voluntarily in some ways. But some people did something that I just did not like. And you can say, you can have this this narrative and this talking point about the danger of Islamic terrorism and stuff like that, and that's fine. But don't try to lie to people, and don't push so hard for something to fit whatever your narrative is, and don't push so hard that you try to disprove something that goes against your narrative, especially when it's about a guy who saved who knows how many lives. I mean, the cops were like hiding behind their cars, eating donuts, listening to these people kill people for like half an hour. So this guy goes up there and stops one of them. Could have easily been killed. He did get injured, has had many surgeries, stuff like that. I think they raised over $2 million for him. Pretty sure. Like by they, I mean like 43,000 people, I believe, raised like over $2 million for him. That's cool. It's a cool thing. This guy's a hero. Risked his life to save people he didn't know. And by the way, happens to be a Muslim. And people did not like that because in this specific scenario, you had to be talking about how dangerous and violent and disgusting Muslims were. And so then when you get this video going around of this Muslim guy who's an immigrant from Syria is the one who comes up and disarms this dude, like that's not good. It's gross, actually. And here's a post right here, and I'm talking about posts with millions of views. Mainstream media lied again. As it turns out, the media got it wrong. The hero at Bondi Beach is not Muslim. He is a Maronite Christian, an ancient Christian community from Lebanon that has followed Jesus Christ for centuries. Eyal Yacobi, who has many annoying posts, is reposting something, says he's a Lebanese Maronite, has crosses in his store. It's a well-known store in South Sydney. This person says the hero who disarmed one of the shooters in Australia is reportedly a Maronite Christian, a true hero. And the whole thing just really grossed me out. Like, you got this terrible situation happening, and of course, everyone wants to make all these points about how dangerous Muslims are. And whatever, we can look at stats or something sometime, and then we could maybe talk about things like blowback and whatever, but, you know, we're not ready for that conversation today. to try and take that away from a guy or take away what was also one of the impressive things about this. Like, that's an important thing. These Islamic terrorists are killing Jews, and who comes up and risks his life to stop them? This is a great story. A Muslim immigrant from Syria comes up to try and stop one of these guys and risks his life trying to take the gun away. That's a great story. It ought to make your heart feel warm. It ought to make you feel like there's still a chance for something good in the world and that good things actually do still happen. So that's, I'll leave that right there. That's number 4. Number 5, on the flip side, just for fun, we got this meme that was posted in the Fed Haters Club. If you are listening right now, not watching, what you'll see is 2 women. The one on the left is a nun dressed in traditional nun garb. And the one on the right is a Muslim woman wearing a hijab. On the left, it says, if this doesn't bother you, that's the nun. On the right, it says, but this does bother you. That's the Muslim woman. It's not your faith, it's your bigotry. And as many people pointed out, as did the person who posted this in the Fed Haters Club, there is something so weird and so backwards about this that happens when, like, people on the left or left-oriented are talking about other people around the world, because there's a clear difference between the left and the right side of this photo. The person on the left is doing this entirely voluntarily, and if she doesn't want to be there, she can leave. There's maybe like a paperwork process. They might try and counsel you a little bit beforehand, but you don't have to remain a nun. That's a thing that you decide, and if you want to go away from it, you can go away from it. It's okay. No one's going to stone you to death in the street for deciding to not be a nun anymore, okay? On the right, in some countries, if this woman decided to, say, not wear what she's wearing in the photo, some countries, a few, not all of them, she would be severely penalized, even penalties all the way up to death. And that's not every country, but in the faith itself, it would probably bring some dishonor to your family. I mean, if this nun lady stopped being a nun, maybe her family is super pro-nun, then maybe that would bring dishonor as well. They are very, very different scenarios in this photo. And what's really wild is that the person who's posting this, who wants to make this like, they're making like an anti-racist or anti-Islamophobic point or anti-whatever kind of point, bigotry, sorry, is what it says on the meme. And so you might imagine they're a little bit more left-wing coded than their politics. Didn't look too much into it. To take this point, using someone, a woman, who potentially is being forced to wear something under threat of death in some countries, and just be like, oh, well, you know, that's just the way they do it. You got to respect that, you know? Got to let people live the way that their men tell them that they have to live or they'll kill them, you know? That's just the way they do it over there. Bigot. You guys realize how dumb that is? Yeah. That's why it's dumb bleep number 5. Speaking of things that are dumb, another thing that came from the live group, but it provides us a great opportunity to talk about people pretending that people are just being bigots. It also rolls in some gun rights, and we get to talk about Spike Cohen, who hasn't been on the show for a bit. I need to get him on the show sometime. Although the last 2 times we had him on the show, there was an assassination attempt. So we'll have to, we got to be really careful with that. Spike was on the show for the first Trump assassination attempt, and he also was on the show the day of the second Trump assassination attempt. So where is Spike right now? That is the main question, Spike. You've got some answering to do. Okay. This is a story about Jelly Roll. You guys heard of Jelly Roll? Seems to be like a pretty cool guy. I don't know. He says that lifelong gun ban as a felon should have path to redemption. Wants his right to hunt back. And by the way, I think yesterday or the day before, maybe yesterday, he got a pardon from the state of Tennessee. And that's good. That's a good thing. I'm in support of that. And everyone else who also has the same record that he does. But yes. So he says you should get your rights back. Shouldn't be a lifelong ban. I agree with that. If you paid your debt to society, if we've decided that it's time for you to come back out in society, if the punishment for that was this many years in prison or this much restitution or whatever, the punishment should not be life. Removal of your rights as a human. I agree with that. Spike Cohen says he should have gotten it back the moment he left prison. The Second Amendment is not a suggestion. It is the final word on gun rights in the U.S. This person responded and said, $1 million says that if Jelly Roll was not white, the opinion would be very different. It says option on the post, but I think it meant to say opinion. So if he wasn't white, Spike Cohen would not have this opinion. $1 million? It's a big bet. Okay, so Spike responds back with the story of Dexter Taylor, which Spike has posted about many times, and libertarians have spent a lot of time, not enough time talking about Dexter Taylor's story up there in New York. We've talked about it before. It's a guy who was arrested for assembling illegally obtained firearm parts. So that's a terrible story up there out of New York. And Spike says, would you like to give me my $1 million by check or Venmo? This person says, go you. Congrats. I did not see any kind of $1 million transaction there. So this person is a liar. And Spike reminds them that if they pay it to You Are the Power, it's tax deductible. So that's good. He's still trying to raise money. Another person came in and said, in response to Spike's post, y'all only say this because he's white. Let a black felon say the same thing and y'all would point to them being a felon as to why they shouldn't have one. You just got to look up the person that you're responding to sometimes. Okay. I get it. There's not a ton of libertarians out there, but they do exist. We do exist, and we're not just like everyone who's on the right. There are some big differences. And this person responded and said, now do Ruby Ridge. Another example of how you should just figure out who it is that you're talking to. And this person would not accept the idea that Spike Cohen was not actually working for the FBI or the CIA and that his page was fake. So I just wanted to make fun of that real quick. I have to. And I had to poke fun at Spike and the fact that it could be dangerous for us to have him on the show again. So there we go. Number 6, that was number 7. Or sorry, that was number 6. This is number 7. This is an interesting one and maybe not going to go the way you guys think. I saw this post going around. It starts with this headline from a news source that is very hard to find, but I did some digging and I found some stuff on it. The headline goes like this: it is now cheaper to fly to Japan, go to Tokyo Disney, get a hotel, and fly back than go to Disney in Florida. Okay. That's a bold claim. Does it check out? I don't know. We'll talk about that. But before we talk about that, Mike Lee had a response to this. Okay. Mike Lee says, Biden printed too much money. Our money buys less now. Okay. And that's in response to someone who's making this about Trump. All right, so they're like, tell me again how our economy is getting better under Trump. Mike Lee says, Biden printed too much money. Our money buys less now. And someone on there posts this chart of printing money. And as we know, there was a heck of a lot of money printed while Trump was in office in Year of our Lord 2020. Okay. They say the largest amount of money ever printed in a single year was in 2020. Who was president in 2020? Mike Lee. Many people pointed out why was the chart cut off. And I'm going to tell you something that you don't want to hear right now. Because they're like, why'd you stop the chart in 2021? I saw many people posting this. From what I can tell, they stopped the chart in 2021 to like hurt themselves in the argument. Because I did go to the M2 charts and I looked up a lot of data here. Biden printed, let's see, we've got a little over $2 We've got close to 1, and then we have 2 years where the number actually went down while the Fed was doing the quantitative tightening in response to all of the inflation that we had. The thing that Mike Lee doesn't want to hear and that people don't want to hear is that Trump printed more money than Biden did. I'm sorry to tell you. Doesn't mean that there wasn't, other forms of debt taken out, stuff like that. More new money creation happened in the year of our Lord 2020. Didn't have to happen. That was in response to what the government did. But there's the part of that conversation. Then there's another part of the conversation that I just want to make a point on. Whether or not it's cheaper to go to Japan and go to Disney in Tokyo than it is to go to Florida. Don't worry, I'm not going to bore you with every single amount of money it might take, every single price you could pay for every single flight and every single ticket, and every single little money item that I can throw at you. At the end of the day, there's a couple things you could think on this. And I did look at different sources. I think I eventually found the source article for this, or what was actually the source blog for this. And they did find that at the end of the day, it was like $50 to $100 cheaper to do the trip to Japan than it would be if you were like in California and you wanted to go to Disney World in Orlando. It might be like $50 to $100 cheaper. But that calculation itself, admittedly, did not take into account that they do multi-day discounts on the parks in Orlando, which actually make them only like $10 more a day than the ones in Japan. So that's one part of it. Okay. So could it be cheaper? Sure. As long as you don't care about like 24 hours of travel time, that's fine. But then there's other things you got to look at too. 50 million people go to Disney World in Orlando a year. About 27 million people go to Disney, whatever you might want to call it, in Tokyo. Okay. So there's a lot higher demand for the one in Orlando. This is a supply and demand problem, first off. Also, Japan, different culture. Do they place as high of a value on going to a theme park with their family? Is that as important of an expenditure that you might want to make? Probably not. Probably not. Also because of Disney characters? Still probably not. No. Also, because of the currency exchange rates, your dollar goes way further in Japan. So it is actually technically cheaper. One of the main reasons is because of the exchange rate of your money when you go to Japan. You get a lot more buying power when you go there. Also, Disney doesn't own the park in Japan. It's ran by someone else who just pays Disney a little bit of a royalty. There's another part right there. There's many reasons that this is just a dumb thing to make. Going back to the fact that this original article was actually talking about how it was cheaper for British people to go to Tokyo than it was for British people to go to Orlando and go to that park. And that was what the actual original article was about. So anyhow, just wanted to go through those things. I just found it interesting once I started digging into it. Like, man, I was never going to go to Disney World, but now I'm definitely not going to go to Disney World even more than I wasn't beforehand. Number 8, let's talk about Henry Ford. That was the halfway point. Should I tell everyone to join us tomorrow morning for the second part of Dumb Bleep of the Week? Don't worry, live group. You're getting the whole thing right now. Don't worry about that. But everyone who's listening on the podcast app or watching on YouTube or whatever, this is the end of the road for you. It's not a threat. I'm talking about this is the end of this episode right now. And you want to join us tomorrow morning for the conclusion of the last Dumb Bleep of the week in 2025. All right. That was the first half. Now we're going on to the back half, and the back half is spicy. Those were the easy ones. Now we're going to get into the fun stuff.